Well, good evening. Here I am sitting on top of the GPO, and there behind me is Upper O'Connell Street from Nelson Pillar to the Parnell Monument on the eve of the great invasion. The invasion by the builders' men, because that upper section of O'Connell Street is going to be dug up. Not the whole of the street. The lower section from Nelson Pillar to O'Connell Bridge has already had the full treatment. But from June to October, the men will be in digging up the street, the public services people, the telephones, waterworks, gas and so forth will be putting down extra mains, and one way and another, during all that period, the old street just won't look the same. The question does arise, why choose to dig up the busiest street in the country at the busiest time of the tourist year, from June to October? It is quite a question. It has already been raised, and we're going now to try to find some answers. And here are the members of the committee of the O'Connell Street Traders Association. As a matter of fact, just about a few minutes ago, they've had confirmed the sad news for them that their street is going to be torn up. And here's their chairman, Mr Paddy O'Sullivan, manager of the big hotel in the street. Well, Mr O'Sullivan, I believe you and your committee members, have decided ideas on this.
Well, according to newspaper reports, and we have since confirmed this with the corporation officials, it's intended to tear up the whole of this street here during the month of June. Now, June is one of the busiest times of the tourist season, and if the corporation wished to find a time that would be most difficult for the business community of this street, they couldn't pick a worse time than the months of June, July, August or September. We believe that if this job were done in 2 or 3 shifts, it could be done satisfactorily in the month of October and cause the least amount of inconvenience to all concerned.
But the weather, I believe, is not very good in October for this kind of work.
I think our weather in October is possibly just as good as it is in June.
Do you think so?
That's a gamble.
Well, what practical difference would it make to you? After all, even though the street will be closed in sections and people can walk up and down the footpaths.
Well, the licensing of new cars, for instance, comes on about that time. All the car hire firms have let their cars to visitors. There are more cars on the road. Can you imagine, with this street thronged with an additional 30 or 40,000 visitors into the city, what it'll be like with this street completely disrupted? We think, the O'Connell Street Traders Association, is a disastrous suggestion. We know, of course, that the corporation have their difficulties, but the thing about this is that we, the ratepayers, after all, we are the people who keep the machinery of corporation in motion. We should have some say in these matters, and we should be consulted, and we should be asked. But unfortunately, we're ignored.
Well, what do you propose to do?
Well, we propose to seek an interview with the appropriate officer in the corporation to see if this work can be deferred until a more appropriate time, which we think is October or November.
And if they refuse?
We will try and seek higher authority and to see if the tourist authorities, the tourist board, the tourist association will bring their weight to bear to have this work stopped until the autumn.
Christopher Crosby is likely to be affected. He's a car park attendant here in O'Connell Street.
That's
well,
correct.
now, they're not going to be cars parked here when they're digging up the street.
No, sir.
What's it going to mean to you?
Well, it means to say that we're going to be unemployed for such times as it's finished. And we get no remuneration from anyone. It means to say that I'm a married man and all that, the boys in O'Connell Street nearly all married too. And it means to say that if we don't get some support, well, there's nothing for us, only the workhouse.
Well, that's some of what O'Connell Street traders think about the possibility of their street being dug up. But what about Henry Street? We should be able to find out something interesting there. It's being dug up already. The surface of the street is being completely relaid. Has it made any difference to trade in that street? Here's one man who should know. He's J.J. Doody, the retail sales manager of one of the biggest department stores in Henry Street.
Well, believe it or not, these street alterations have not adversely affected business. Business has been very good all through the spring in Henry Street, and my firm have continued to show increases during these alterations. It's true, of course, that we don't like dust and the noise of pneumatic drills, but I think it's a small price to pay for the very good job that is being done here.
Right, well, you've heard the burden of the traders' complaints in O'Connell Street. The obvious man to talk to now is Mr. Brendan Murphy, who's in charge of the paving department of Dublin Corporation. He's the chief engineer there. Here we are. We've just made it through the traffic. Mr. Murphy, the traders say, why do you want to do it in June, July and August? Why not in October? Why not work round the clock then and save the bother of congestion during the holiday months?
Well, the program is that the preliminary work on services will start in about a fortnight's time.
Mr. Murphy, are you going to tear up both sides of the street at once?
No, it's intended to take up half of each carriageway just at first, and traffic will be kept rolling on the other half.
So they'd have
each side of the street.
This part, say the outer part,
will be available for traffic while the inner part is being done.
Yeah.
And the same on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
It's intended that the actual work on the reconstruction shall start on the 20th of August, after the horse show week.
Yeah.
But between this and August, certain preliminary work in the nature of laying new services and repairing existing services will have to be carried out.
Well, this, of course, will involve some disruption in itself, won't it?
It will, but not serious disruption. Traffic will still flow and there won't be any interference very much.
What are the services that will be? They'll have to dig up the road there.
Well, the post office want to lay a new ductway the whole length of the street. This will take about 2 months. This will be started within the next couple of weeks. I think we'll start work on that.
So in effect, there'll be somebody digging in O'Connell Street from the beginning of June until when?
End of October, before we are finally finished.
So it will, in fact, be 4 months before the corporation and its colleagues, as it were, are out of the street.
Yes, it will be 4 months before the work is completed. But as I say, if all this started immediately, it would cause much more disruption to traffic. We hope by doing the work, letting the services get their work done first, that when eventually we move in to tear up the street, there will be the least possible amount of dislocation of traffic. And we don't anticipate that there will be any serious dislocation of traffic while the work is in progress.
Have you any statistics on how many cars and buses use this?
Yes, the peak traffic is of the order of 1,000 vehicles per hour.
It's quite a lot of vehicles.
And 2 lanes of traffic should be sufficient to cater for that. At the moment there's almost sufficient room for 4 lanes of traffic on each side, so that even with half the carriageway there should be still ample provision for all the traffic to flow.
Yeah, well, if we can look over here now at the bus stops, when the big double-decker buses are pulled up there, surely it's going to, do away with 1 lane pretty effectively.
That is true. It will be necessary to restrict some parking in the centre of the street, of course, while the work is in progress.
So there is, I have heard in foreign parts where they would do what I think the Americans would call a crash job, and simply close off everything, dig up everything, get out quickly and go.
No, there will be no delay, avoidable delay on it, but any concrete foundation which we must replace will have to get time to harden, and this will be independent of any night work or any other work. As I already told you, we avoid night work because it causes too much interference with the sleep of people.
Yes, especially in the hotels along
In the hotels, yes.
Yeah. Good enough. Well, you're going to start in when?
The actual reconstruction will start on the 20th of August, I hope.
I see, but there'll be somebody here.
There'll be some other services probably here in about a fortnight's time.
Right. Well, we just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Thanks very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Murphy. Well, as you can see, already the advance guard has arrived. The ESB men are here digging up the sidewalk in preparation for the men who will come along afterwards to dig up the street. As you can also see, one of the people who are going to be intimately affected by this is the CIE. The long lines of buses parked along here will obviously have to be shifted somewhere else when the big dig up begins. You heard Mr. O'Sullivan say that he was going to protest to the tourist board about it, or ask them to do something, and we asked the tourist board what their comment was. What they said was this: everyone is clamoring for improvements, and you can't have improvements without upsets. We have been told by the corporation that they plan the work to affect the least possible inconvenience. And that was what Boyd Foycher had to say. Well, you've heard what everybody has to say now. We can only leave you to make up your own mind about the big dig up in Upper O'Connell Street.